Hi, this is Leah Anderson with Salisbury Life and Windsor Living magazines. And today we are interviewing one of our sponsors for Salisbury Life magazine, Annemarie Hensley with Team Hensley, which is part of Lismore and Associates Real Estate. And, there are a lot of folks kind of asking a lot of questions about, how do you go about continuing to list your home at this time, to sell a home at this time, and to even entertain the thought of possible buyers coming through your home to view your home. And so we've gotten together with Annemarie this morning to answer some of those questions for us on how they position themselves in the market to help listers feel comfortable about these things. And so, Annemarie, good to see you this morning. How are you feeling?
Good morning, Leah. Great to see you, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah, so tell me, is this a good time to list? I mean, that's a question that a lot of buyers and sellers are really asking right now. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so surprisingly, it is. We are still experiencing low inventory, and interest rates are still low. So it is a good time to list when we are putting properties on the market. Of course, using new precautions. Um, they're still selling, and they're selling quickly. So if you're in a position where you need to sell or you even want to sell, we have ways to navigate through the existing climate and make that happen for you, and hopefully can do it in a fairly quick manner.
Okay, great. And so, do you really feel like buyers are still looking and buying right now? I mean, or has that kind of number gone down a little bit?
Well, I think in both cases, numbers have dropped a little bit. There are some people that want to put their plans on hold that had plans to buy or sell this spring and have decided that, with everything going on, we just don't need to do it. So numbers certainly have dropped. However, we had a fantastic March. People were still out, they were still shopping, and buyers are recognizing that the interest rates are low, so it might be the best time for them, to go into the market. And maybe with fewer people looking, buyers are going to have better opportunities because since we've had so much low inventory, buyers have been competing for property,
Mhm.
and there have been multiple offers, and so might be a good time if you are a buyer.
Yeah, there's always a silver lining, right? And what precautions can we take as buyers and sellers to stay safe?
So, I work with sellers every day, and we're helping them. People that want to do this or need to do this, we're helping them. We're abiding by any boundaries and regulations that the governor has outlined. So, we're not going to run people through this house unnecessarily. But when people want to see a house, we're having sellers have all the lights on, have your doors open. Let's make sure that they don't have to touch much. We're talking to the buyer agents as they're bringing people through and saying, hey, we have provided booties for your buyers to put on, and for you, we provided gloves, and you may want to put those on and make sure that maybe the buyers aren't touching anything. Just, if they need to open a particular cabinet or something, do it for them. And of course, they're using every precaution they can to keep their buyers safe. And we're just telling our sellers too, when they arrive back home, hopefully no one's really touched anything, but just wipe everything down, just take the extra step, wipe everything down, um, keep that house as clean as possible.
Yeah. All right, great. Those sound like good precautions to take and very safety conscious while that's all taking place. Now, how are we doing things differently to facilitate showings? And I guess that you kind of answered that question in this particular answer
Well,
that you.
from a safety aspect, we
Yeah,
did, right? I mean, we're
yeah.
doing all sorts of things to keep our buyers and our sellers safe, and that's certainly important. But, things are changing because as far as facilitating showings, it isn't always conventional anymore. It's not that we're having buyers walk through the door. Sometimes they want to do it online, and we're providing 3D photography so they can do that walkthrough online. We are certainly going to help out any agent that doesn't feel comfortable bringing their buyer through or can't for some reason. So we're prepared on our team to show property for buyer agents, and just online, video and open houses that can be virtual now. So there's lots of opportunity to still market these properties, get them in front of people without even having to, have them walk through if they don't want to.
Yeah, I hear a lot of folks who have bought places really say that they bought them sight unseen a lot of times because they trusted their realtor so much.
Yes. And not only, before COVID-19, we were seeing that anyway. There were not that it happened every day, but there were people that we would work with from either out of state or out of the country who needed to make a purchase, and using FaceTime, show them the property, answer all the questions. There's so much you can do these days without actually having to be at the property. Is that the best thing? Yeah, probably, for them to walk through, but we certainly have other measures and things to do when that isn't an option.
Right.
Okay, I found this on the web.
Sorry. Speaking of technology, it's sometimes access on its own.
She's so helpful, isn't she?
Yes.
So, now, what can sellers do now if they want to list when this is over?
Well, what we're finding is, as I said, there are some people that have immediate need and want to go ahead and get their house on the market. But many people who have had plans to list their homes this spring have decided it's just not the time for me and we're going to put it off. Well, we can help you prepare, especially while people are sheltering in place. There's a lot they could do to get their houses ready. So we can do staging, whether in person or virtually, and give them a list of things to work on so sellers can have their house ready when these floodgates open, because I think we're going to see a lot of pent-up demand. When these floodgates open again, they're going to be first to the market, right? We're going to have the home ready and staged. We're going to have pricing done. We can put together their marketing plan and even do photos. They've got the house ready. Our photographers, with precautions, are working, so we can send them out there to make all of this happen. And those sellers can be ready when the time is right and the market is ready for them.
Okay, great. That sounds like a great way to put a plan in place now and be proactive while you're spending all that time at home. And how do the governor's executive orders affect people who want to see homes?
Well, as of today, we're still essential. And so there isn't too much other than we are going to abide by, as I said, anything they've outlined. So, open houses, we're not going to have more than 10 people. We're not going to actually have open houses. That's against, but we're not going to allow people to track, several through. If somebody wants to see it, as we talked about, we're just using those precautions. And at the moment, it's just not affecting buyers or sellers.
Right. Yeah. And can inspectors and appraisers still do their jobs if a home goes under contract?
They can, and they are. Now, I'm sure there are some people, some inspectors and appraisers that have decided not to work in this market. But we have seen a lot of people that are. As a matter of fact, we have some great partners, and our inspectors are outlining how they're going to do business, and they're asking buyers maybe to think about not joining them. Let them go and do it on their own. Let's not have unnecessary people in the house. They're using all kinds of safety precautions. And if a seller consents to an inspector going in there alone, then we're doing that. And the agents can be there if required. They can let them in, they can wait outside, they can sit in their car, but they don't necessarily need to be in the house. And that might make some sellers feel better. As far as appraisals are concerned, that we're finding some appraisers are now starting to do drive-by rather than actually inspecting the house. So that's a little bit different. We'll see how that goes, but it should make sellers feel secure that they're not going to necessarily need to have an appraiser, come through.
Interesting. And what about closings? I mean, can they even happen at this point?
Yeah, closings are still happening too. most attorneys and title companies are just using e-recordings with the county, and as long as the county is open, they can e-record. They don't have to go to the courthouse, and closings are still happening. And we're finding that they're happening on time. So far things are moving along nicely. I know that one of our title companies that we use is using Zoom also for maybe agents or people that want to be part of the closing but aren't essential there to have to sign paperwork. So we have some great partners, and they're all making their own guidelines and finding ways to continue to do business and making it safe for our buyers and sellers.
Great. I know you do put a lot of care into the partners that you work with and your entire staff. So we've been very impressed with your team. And so we really appreciate you giving us those tips and letting everyone know, Annemarie, how they can continue to work with you during this time period. And if anyone needs to reach out to Annemarie Hensley, she can be found at 804-221-4365. And email Annemarie, that's Annemarie, at Team Hensley, that's HENSLEY.com. And she would be more than happy to help you with any of your needs.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. And certainly we are still out there doing business, just dealing with these unusual circumstances and making modifications. So, anyone that needs the help, would love to hear from you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks, Leah.